Sorry, I got cut off there again. But anyway, I want to talk about how each quarterback looks thus far in the preseason. And as I've said, I get it. It's the preseason. We shouldn't care as much, but want to make my early predictions. The first quarterback I'm going to talk about is who I think is honestly my favorite quarterback. Maybe not favorite. The quarterback I'm most impressed by these last 2 weeks is Bo Nix. Yesterday, one of my hot takes of the season was that Bo Nix would be Offensive Rookie of the Year, not Caleb Williams or Jaden Daniels. One of the things I like about him is he looks exactly like he did at Oregon. Nothing really changed. And another big thing about him is he's like 23, 24. He has a lot of experience. And like I said, you can argue, okay, it's going to lead to a shorter career, but he's going to come into the... And you might be right, but he's going to come into the league, and I think he's going to look the best out of all the quarterbacks, out of the rookie class. He's going to look the best out of the gate. Jaden Daniels is either my second or third quarterback. It's kind of a favorite quarterback. It's kind of a toss-up between him and Caleb Williams. Both Jaden Daniels and Bo Nix have been named the starter in the last week, which is a good sign. I feel like I've said this before. Not every quarterback needs to sit behind a guy the first year. It works for some guys. It's just because it worked for Jordan Love, Aaron Rodgers, and Mahomes doesn't mean it's going to work for everyone. So, Jaden Daniels and Bo Nix starting, I think it's a good thing for the Broncos and the Commanders. And, both of them... I'll segue into Jaden Daniels now. Like I said, with Bo Nix, the big notes on him are like, he's accurate, he's smart with the ball, he makes smart decisions. He's very much a pocket quarterback, which is kind of a contrast to Jaden Daniels. Like I said, I see a lot of Lamar, a lot of elusiveness, a lot of mobility. I do think he can tend to be a little reckless with the ball, which, again, contrasts to Bo Nix, who's very smart with it. But I can see him having a very similar rookie season to Lamar, which, if you recall, it wasn't great, but it was clear Lamar had a lot of talent and a lot of potential in the league. That's what I see from Jaden Daniels. Now, we are going to move on to Caleb Williams, number 1 overall pick. For the most part, he's looking really good. He ran for a touchdown in his last game. Relatively efficient. The one problem is I think he creates... some of the plays I saw, it was like it wouldn't have been a sack, but he extended the play longer than it should have been and created a situation where he was going to get sacked, if that makes sense. Like he ran towards that danger by not making a quick decision. That's my one worry for him. What I don't worry about is I think out of all the other quarterbacks in the draft, he actually, even though he's the number 1 pick, I think he has the best weapons of all the other quarterbacks. With DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, even Cole Kmet. He also has a great defense backing him, which Jaden Daniels, they don't have, the Broncos, the Commanders, the Falcons with Michael Penix, who's not starting this year, but they don't have great defenses. So he has a great defense. And I think better weapons than any of the other quarterbacks I just mentioned. So Yeah, I do have high hopes for Caleb Williams. But I do think Bo Nix is going to have the upper hand with him. Now, as far as Drake May, he did not have an impressive first game because he didn't really get that many snaps. He only threw like 3 passes. But he relatively redeemed himself in the second game. 6 for 11, 47 yards passing. Even though I hate draft comparisons, his draft comparison was Justin Herbert. And, I did occasionally, in some of the plays that I saw, I did see a little Justin Herbert in there. Like, legitimately, he looked like Justin Herbert. But, yeah, I really don't like comparisons out of the draft, because it's really... I just don't think it's worth... Like, you're comparing people that haven't been in the NFL to people who are most likely in their primes. Who have been through years of, trial and error. And, I mean, granted, I do think there are... I have said it. I don't think anyone should compare a player to, all-time greats. I don't think a player should be compared to Tom Brady or Peyton Manning or Joe Montana. You can't compare people to those guys. That's ridiculous. It's the same thing in basketball. Don't compare people to Kareem or LeBron or Jordan. It's unrealistic. No one is going to be LeBron, Jordan, or Kareem. Those guys are one of a kind. Brady, Montana, Peyton Manning, they're one of a kind. That's why we haven't seen another Montana or Brady or Peyton Manning yet. They don't grow on trees. But yeah, Drake May, I'm still iffy on him. I'm feeling good about Bo Nix, feeling pretty good about Jaden Daniels, and feeling pretty good about Caleb Williams as well. Also, Michael Penix. So Drake May is kind of the quarterback I'm still a little iffy on. Michael Penix looked pretty good against the Ravens this past weekend. Taylor Heineke got... Oh, wait. Not this past... Sorry. 2 weekends ago in the first preseason game. Michael Penix looked pretty good against the Dolphins. What was his stats? 9 for 16, 104 yards. 76 quarterback rating. Like I said, a lot of these guys, we're going to see flaws in them before we see the good parts of their game. That's what I found with most of these rookies. Is that, with Caleb Williams, one of the first things I saw was he kind of extends plays longer than they should. But I also saw a lot of talent and promise from him. Jaden Daniels, not exactly the most cautious guy with the ball, but a lot of athleticism, a lot of promise, just like Caleb Williams and Bo Nix. And Drake May, like I said, there are good parts of him. My biggest worry with Drake May, other than the fact that we don't know much about him yet because he didn't get many snaps in the preseason opener, is the team he's on. Like I said, Caleb Williams, one thing that reassures me about him is he has good weapons right now. Drake May has no one, and he has a rookie head coach who doesn't really have an impressive resume outside of coaching. Matt Eberflus was one of the best defensive coordinators in the league for a while. And now he's on the Bears. But Sean Payton is one of the best coaches, in my opinion, in the league. He's won a Super Bowl. for Bo Nix. So, like, Caleb Williams and Bo Nix are in a better, like, much better spot compared to where Drake May is right now. That's my biggest worry. But yeah, sum it up. Bo Nix, my top quarterback so far, followed by Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels, then Penix, and then Drake May is just the guy. Like, I don't know much about him. So, with that said, we're going to move on. Gardner Minshew, he was, I don't even know if I talked about him being named the starter, but won the position over Aiden O'Connell. Said he views himself as sort of a point guard for the Raiders. The Raiders, I don't know, man. I've said, I see last place, and I think Minshew is better than Aiden O'Connell. And they do have Devontae Adams, but they also lost Josh Jacobs. They don't have a great O-line. They don't have a great defense. We don't know how Antonio Pierce is. So there's a lot of uncertainty. When you're not sure on the coach or the quarterback, it's not a good spot. It's not a good situation to be in. I think Minshew is capable of being a good quarterback, but he's not going to be anything special. He has a low ceiling, if that's what you want to hear. I don't see him being... He's not going to be anything special. He's not going to save the Raiders season. I mean, maybe Antonio Pierce can. I have no idea how he is as a coach, but... Yeah, Gardner Minshew, I mean... I'm sure he's a great guy, but there's no way he's saving the Raiders season from what's about to happen. All right, next topic is... All right, Baker Mayfield. Pretty much, he more or less said everyone sleeps on the NFC South, saying everyone wants to hate on it. I don't. I just look at the facts, and you have the Panthers, who were terrible last year and didn't really upgrade anywhere. Got the Saints, who have a coach on the hot seat, Derek Carr, who we're uncertain of. We're not sure. I mean, they have Olave. I'll give them that. Olave looks good, but that's really all you got going for you. Your defense is underwhelming, other than Cameron Jordan. Coach on the hot seat, quarterback is questionable, and I don't really see a reason to be high on the Saints right now, or the Panthers. I mean, like, the bottom half of your division is really bad, and the top of your division isn't great. It's so, like, the NFC West, right? The bottom of their division isn't exactly great, but it's better than the NFC South. Like, the Seahawks are probably going to have a pretty bad year. Same with the Cardinals are probably going to have a middle-of-the-road year, but that's a lot better than what the Panthers and Saints are going to do. And then the top of their division, the Rams and Niners are probably going to both have... Like, the Niners are a Super Bowl contender. The Rams are a playoff contender. In my opinion, a dark horse Super Bowl contender. Whereas the NFC South... You got two teams that are definitely not going anywhere, and then two teams that are going to be competing to seemingly be a first-round exit. The Buccaneers and the Falcons are probably competing to see who is going to lose to the number 1 seed. The 5 seed. So, like, who's going to lose to the Rams or the Packers, pretty much. Who's going to lose to the team that is only in the wild card because of the division they're in? Like, whoever wins the NFC South is going to be in the playoffs in spite of what their roster looks like and because of the division they're in. All right. So Josh Allen spoke about contract negotiations. He is, in case it's not clear, he's out of the top 10 now because he hasn't gotten an extension in the last 2 months. So now Jordan Love, Trevor Lawrence, and Jalen Hurts are getting paid more than Josh Allen. Which is crazy to think about, but he says he is not worried about a current contract or getting more money. That's a big win for the Bills. Honestly. Last thing they need right now, as like the Bills roster quality is going down. It has been going down since like Brian Dable left. Brian Dable, I think, was the guy holding that offense together. And like I said, because every coach leans towards either offense or defense. If they lean towards offense, you need a good defensive coordinator. If they lean towards defense, you need an OC. And that's why the Bills were so good with Brian Dable, because you had Sean McDermott, who's an defensive coach. And you had Dable, who was the best offense coordinator in the league. And it's similar to what the Lions have right now. They have the best offensive coordinator in the league. And Dan Campbell, a defensive coach. So... I mean, if Josh Allen... That's a win for the Bills if he's not asking for that much money. Because if they lose him, I mean, they're not even close to being the same team that they are, that they were with him. Josh Allen, him leaving would put a major damper on that roster. So, as crazy as it sounds, guys, some people are okay just getting paid $43 million. Because that is Josh Allen's contract. And he's outside the top 10 in quarterbacks. He's getting paid $43 million a year. And he's like the 12th highest paid quarterback right now. All right. Final topic of the day. Lamar Jackson responded to some of the criticism he's been hearing about his lack of playoff success, saying he doesn't really care. And I mean, I don't really think he should. Like I said, there are 5 quarterbacks that I think most would agree are in the top 12 ever, who had playoff problems throughout their career. Peyton Manning had 1 Super Bowl as the guy, and 1 more Super Bowl at the end of his career getting carried by his defense. Aaron Rodgers has 1 Super Bowl. He's lost multiple NFC championships. Steve Young only had 1 Super Bowl. Brett Favre, 1 Super Bowl. Drew Brees, countless losses in the playoffs. It's a football team, it's not... Yes, a quarterback is the most important part of it, but they can't do everything. They can't carry a team by themselves. And yeah, Lamar has been, I will say, his stats in the playoffs are concerning. But I do still feel we've seen how good he can be. It's hard for me. I can't give up on him right now because he's a 2-time MVP. I know he has it in him to perform in the playoffs, and I am confident he will win at least 1 Super Bowl, and I think he'll make multiple in the near future. So, on that note, this is about a 25-minute podcast, I think. But, yeah, this is Dylan Miller on Daily Dose of Dylan. Spotify, Spreaker, iHeartRadio. This is Dylan Miller on Daily Dose of Dylan. Have a good day. See you tomorrow.